Fuck. What a good start to the podcast.
Welcome in, everybody.
Welcome back to Life in Motion. I'm Grace Becker. I'm a licensed mental health therapist and an enthusiast of life. And I'm joined today by my friend and guest, Taylah Schroeder. Hi, Taylah. Thanks for joining us. Taylah is currently working as a trainee appraiser, which is a professional in training who works under the supervision of a licensed appraiser to learn the skills necessary to evaluate and the value of properties or assets.
Mm-hmm. I do specialize in mostly egg land. So
egg land?
Yeah, like tillable farmland.
Okay, so property as well? Okay.
Sales is what you'll see, but sometimes like mortgage refinancing and stuff like that too.
Cool. Nice. Okay. Taylah also has a degree in human development and family science from North Dakota State University. Mm-hmm. You graduated
back in 2023 already, May of 2023. Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me, Taylah. How has your week been so far? How have you been?
It has been a great week. I feel like Christmas is barreling towards us at such a rapid rate, but I'm excited for it. This is actually my first ever year having to work on Christmas Eve, which is crazy. Because I feel like we've always been pretty lucky in having them fall on like a weekend or near a weekend. Mm-hmm. Or I guess being in high school too, we got all the time in the world off. But yeah, this is the first one that I won't be getting to. And that's unfortunately where my family celebrates the most. Okay. So everybody's getting there at like 3 and then we're going to pull in at like 7 or 8.
It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, I was thinking about this too. I also have to work on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And I mean, I had the option. I think I am going to be the only one in the clinic that day.
Yeah.
But you know, it's fine. My family is gathering on Christmas Day, so I don't really have anything going on Christmas Eve.
Right. Might as well make that money.
Yeah, exactly. Might as well. But I agree. I think it should be a federal holiday, Christmas Eve.
I would think so, yeah.
Or at least a half a day, federal holidays.
I agree. Give people time to travel to their new places they have to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, otherwise you're doing good?
Yeah, doing really good.
Sweet. Okay, well, today's topic that Taylah and I are going to talk about, and we've talked about this off the podcast before, is how to make friends as an adult. Taylah, what are some of your maybe general thoughts on this topic? Do you think there are many adults out there who struggle to make friends in their adulthood?
I feel like we all struggle. I feel like it's probably something that each person has their own experience with, but it feels so individual. I feel like it's one thing that everybody can relate on while everybody still struggles with it at the same time. I feel like COVID really played a part in especially like our age being able to make friends, because you went to college in 2020 as well, right?
Yeah,
and things were just locked
summer.
Down tight, and like groups weren't getting together unless you were in sports or had in-person classes. That was so tough. I feel like we all are used to the struggles that come with trying to make friendships, especially as you get older.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I didn't think about that. Because did you go right to college after graduating as well?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, it's when we were essentially entering our adulthood, the 18 or older, moving away from our hometown, away from our high school friends. It was especially difficult to make friends in college, and I heard that a lot. Oh, you're gonna meet your lifelong friends going to college, which I did meet some of them.
Yeah.
Right? But it was difficult because everything was online, or it was, you had to be separated. Don't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Don't take your mask off.
Don't get close to each other.
Don't get close to each other. So that was, not only was it mentally difficult, but it made it especially difficult to be around people that...
Well, and I also don't know, like, if MSUM did this, but if we were even in contact with somebody that ended up getting COVID, we had to go into isolation for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, literally just go sit in your room by your lonesome for 2 entire weeks.
Did you get to stay in your dorm room?
Yes.
Okay.
I know some people got shipped to, like, hotels in town.
Shit.
They did. They got locked in hotel rooms. It was crazy, but we had to do it 3 times.
Oh my God.
I spent 6 weeks of my life locked in my dorm room in college.
MSUM did do that, but I don't think that they had the budget to go get us hotel rooms. They just emptied out one of the residence halls and shipped the sick people to. I was one of them. I had symptoms of COVID, and this is the thing that I had symptoms of COVID. I reported it. They shipped me over to the walk a block over to the other residence hall, and I was stuck in there for 2 weeks. I could leave only for medical reasons. Otherwise, I had to stay in there. They had people come bring me food. Cafeteria would bring me breakfast,
and they
lunch,
knock on
dinner.
the door and run away, essentially.
Yes.
They put it on the ground, knock on the door, and leave.
What was that?
The ice maker. The dryer turned off and the ice maker goes off.
It sounded like someone was ripping ass.
Does smell or it does sound like somebody ripping ass. I can't actually smell the ice. I promise.
Next week we'll talk about Taylor's sniffing ice problem.
My addiction.
But so I remember being shipped over to this thing, and I left to go get tested for COVID, and it came back negative, but they still made me quarantine for the rest of my 2 weeks because
So we had
just
the
to get rid
testing
of it.
stuff, but I feel like nobody ever believed it. Like, if you were sick, it was COVID, like, for a bit of time in there. Because you could test negative, and they're just like, no, I don't buy it.
I don't buy it.
Go back to your room.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because the tests aren't always accurate.
Right.
Especially when it comes back negative.
For sure.
Everyone's a doubter. So,
Right.
whatever, it's over.
Still wild time.
Yeah,
Such a wild
absolutely.
time.
I didn't even think that was a good point. COVID definitely put a hinder on that. Let's talk more about what made it difficult to make friends as an adult. Taylah, what are some ways maybe you have personally struggled with this or have heard how others struggled with making friends as an adult?
I feel like the biggest struggle is the fact that they don't last outside of, like, at least the events that I'm attending. Let's say, like, going to the bar for young people is a big way of meeting. I would definitely consider myself a bit of a social butterfly. I'm good at talking to people. I'm good at relating to people. I'm good at sparking up conversations. I can get myself to the point of getting phone numbers or Snapchats, and then the next day comes, and that's, like, the relationship does not go past that. Sometimes I'll even reach out and say hi, but I feel like we both know, we were both drunk, we were both out, we were both talkative because we were drunk, and I fear that a lot of people don't. I guess I want the relationship to continue after that, but the people that I ended up talking with that night, like, fall off the conversation really fast. Right. Do you relate to that at all?
Yeah. So you're saying you'll meet someone, you'll hit it off, and then after that you'll text them, do whatever.
Right.
But it doesn't seem like they're putting in that mutual effort.
Right. Well, especially, like, the bar setting people. I feel like clubs are a great way to do it, but they cost so much money. And in today's economy right now, I don't know about you, but I don't have dollars lying around to join a 3-week stained glass making course with women that I'd probably thoroughly enjoy hanging out with. Right. But that is a big factor. And because that's a setting too that I feel would allow for deeper connections, genuine conversations to spark. But now you got to get inside the door and you have to commit to a few weeks of this class, which not everybody has time for. People have families, people have their own lives. That is things that I at least have seen.
Yeah, I agree. Money can be a big thing.
For sure.
Right? Because that's an option to make friends is join clubs. If you're still in school, join activities. Right. And that can be nice because it doesn't always cost to join things when you're in a college or some other type of education where those are built into it.
For sure.
But when you're out of it, when you're older, when you're in your late 20s, your 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond, it's difficult to join things that require money or they require your time and effort. It does take time and effort to build friendships, but that can absolutely hinder
I feel like
options.
The most successful place I've ever found making friends, and actually where we met, is in restaurant jobs. And I have a lot of friends that I made working at Olive Garden. I have a lot of friends I made working at Zorba's that I still talk to, and I've been out of those jobs for years now. But when you spend shifts with the same people and you giggle about the same things and you go through the rough times together. You end up creating a bond even if you don't mean to. Those have become my favorite friendships and my longest lasting ones. But now I'm an adult and now I work from home and my job is much more my own world. I don't really share my job with anybody like I used to. And all that as such a part of it too. The isolation almost, even if you do have a place of work that you go to, it's very different. It's much more like independent when you're an adult.
And it's interesting you bring that up. Well, Taylah and I met working at Olive Garden, and I hear this a lot. Don't work with your friends.
Yes.
Do you hear that? Don't work with your friends. But honestly, I've made some of my best friendships working with them.
Yes.
Because
I agree with that.
Just like what you said. I mean, I don't know if it's different because we met working.
Right.
But I loved it because we had built-in time together. So even if we weren't hanging out outside of work, I never noticed it.
Right.
Because we were having a great time hanging out together at work.
And those were like the prime shifts is like when all your buddies would be on.
Look, have you ever heard of the term trauma bonding?
Yes.
Okay. Not to necessarily say that working in a restaurant is a traumatizing thing.
It can be.
It can be. It can be. But even just going through difficult times. Like you have a table of 12 people who are being rude, whatever, and you're working with your friend on it / your coworker. That brings some people together because it's like, yeah, can you believe?
And well, it makes it a bearable experience too. It's almost like a trial of hard times in life, if that makes sense. And you can see how this person is going to react in a really stressful situation. Or if you really piss them off, are they able to bounce back and still like, can we just move past it and like get this work done, you know? Because friendships need that, especially in today's day and age. If a boundary gets crossed or a line gets crossed, they're done. When in reality, I get it, especially repeated actions, constant not changing, but there has to be some understanding for the fact that people are human too and make mistakes, and we're constantly growing and constantly changing beings. It's such a new mentality in life right now that I'm really not a fan of, because I think that we don't allow people to even be humans anymore in a little bit of a sense, if that makes sense. And working in the restaurant industry is a place that you get to see those parts of each other,
right?
Without, if that makes sense. That's what I'm trying to tie it back into.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. It's kind of like when you're in a relationship and, oh, let's live together before we get married so I can see what you're like living with to see if we're compatible out. And it's kind of like that. When you're at work, stressful stuff happens, and can you get through it? Or you have a disagreement with your coworker who's also your friend. If there is a disagreement, can we talk about it and move past it? Or is this going to end the friendship?
Right.
I also struggle with making friends as an adult, and I've heard this from other people too. I don't want to seem creepy or desperate to people, so when I go up to them, because part of it is a fear of being vulnerable and just a fear of rejection, because when I see someone or I'm talking with someone, I'm having a good time, I think this ties back to what you were saying earlier about them not putting in the same effort. But you meet someone and you think you hit it off, and I don't want to seem desperate, creepy, kind of like I'm trying to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I don't want to seem desperate or creepy, but I do also want to be your friend.
Like can I get your snap?
So can I get that Instagram handle or
Can I talk to you tomorrow?
I can't talk to you tomorrow. Oh my God, my sister's calling with this emergency. I gotta go. I'm sorry. Yeah. So there's someone who I recently hung out with, and she was so sweet, and I loved hanging out with her, and she was really fun and bubbly, and we met at a party, and then we got together, and it was a good time. I asked her if she wanted to go out to get drinks or dinner, and then we did, and it was a great time. And now it's kind of in my mind, okay, ball's in your court. Are you gonna reach out to me?
Yes, 100% understand that, because that's the thing too, is like, if they want to reciprocate this energy, they will. It's such a true statement, and I know it's mostly used in terms of relationships. If he wanted to, he would, but it's for all humans. If they wanted this friendship too, they would show it. And like, I'll never expect them to do it first. I will definitely put action out there first, but I also don't want to be the only one doing it. I don't want to end up with a bunch of one-sided friendships either, where we're only friends because I'm putting in the work to keep us friends.
Absolutely. I agree with you. It can be hard, and because I think so many people are too afraid of the rejection, they'll either avoid completely reaching out at all, even to begin with, or, you know, that giving them a second chance. Like, okay, I'll reach out again.
Right.
Just because, you know, they seem like they've been busy or whatever.
Right.
But if it doesn't happen after that, then I'm going to let it go if they're not going to make that effort.
For sure.
Because it's hard to be vulnerable and have that vulnerability either not acknowledged or invalidated in some way, whether it's on purpose or not, because sometimes it's not on purpose.
Right, yes.
You know, people get busy and they just can't keep the relationship up, can't keep it going.
But it's also a normal feeling to want to be important in your friends' lives too. And so it's definitely not something that you should allow over and over and over again, like being put on the back burner. That's what makes it so hard too, is where do you know when to keep going, when to stop.
Right, absolutely. And say it's like going good, you and your friend, you're both reciprocating, inviting each other out to things, and then it falls off for a little bit. Okay, how do you pick that back up? And,
right.
you know, because
that's one thing that is easy for me in longer term friendships too. Because we have gone 2 weeks where we don't speak a word, and then you're like, hey, lunch? And I'm like, that'd be great, you know, and nothing feels different because, well, we've been friends for, I think, what did we say, 4 or 5 years now?
Yeah, we rounded up to 5 years. I think it's like
yeah,
four.
We rounded up to 5.
I think technically it's like 4 or something. Like
we can say
4.5.
5.
We'll just say 5 years. Yeah, that'll keep it easy because when it's 2025, 5 years. When it's 2028, 8 years.
That's true. That is true. So basically, yeah, I guess we can just look at 2020 and just do the math. That's kind of cool. But like, this is a friend that I'm not worried about. Like, obviously we check in with each other all the time and that's great and stuff. But if there was a week where we didn't, it doesn't make any difference in terms of the friendship. You know, like it's almost a certain at this point. But when you're talking friendships like a year less where you don't have that history where this person's always going to be my friend now, you know what I mean? That is when it can be so difficult too. Those younger friendships where you don't know everything about the person, I guess.
Yeah, I think I have, so in high school, 2 of my best friends, Ryan and Victoria, and they both live in Minneapolis now. And I just visited them this past summer, and in high school, they were probably 2 of my best friends, and I absolutely love them and adore them, and I still like love and adore them today. But because 1, they live in Minneapolis, 2, Ryan is still in college. I think he's finishing up. Victoria is out considering maybe going back to college. I don't really remember, but this is where I'm talking about how I could go a year without seeing them and then visit them, and we kind of pick back up.
Yes.
We keep each other updated with the big things, like big job changes or if there's a relationship change. But for the most part, it's easier for me to pick back up with them just because of, 1, that history that you were talking about that I have with them. And it's not really awkward with them when I do get to see them again.
Yeah, that's great too.
Yeah.
And those are friendships that are prime. Like they're great all the time.
Yeah.
A little bit of a relator. Had a pretty good friend group in high school. And when I went to college, other than my high school best friend, I kind of went like MIA on everybody else. And I mean, I don't know, it was fine. I don't think anybody took it like hard, but we just were all needing change. We were ready to get out of there. Again, COVID was kind of in its prime. Everybody was just sick of everything. And since that time, so now it's been 3-4 years since high school, I have grown and changed, and I am loving the track I'm on. I'm loving the person I'm becoming. I think it's going really great. And obviously 4 years, everybody else has had that chance too. And I have found that reconnecting with some of those friends, especially after this break, has been incredible. I'm glad that they stopped for a little bit, because now finding each other and seeing how much each other has changed and how much we get along, and that has been so cool. And it's people that I do know their history, and so we kind of have that ability to pick up on, because we were friends for so long when we were younger, but now our adult interests align too. And so the vibes are good, and we enjoy the same things. And so finding friendships from a long time ago has honestly been really fun too. I don't know if you have any experiences kind of like that.
None that I can think of right off the bat. However, I have heard that a lot, both with clients I've worked with, and I hear it in the media, of right person, wrong time, or right time, wrong person.
Right, yeah.
And so kind of sounds like that for you, where in high school, maybe there was a maturity difference, and you give it some time, that other person who you clicked with otherwise.
Yes.
Later in life, okay, now we get each other. Now we can be these great friends.
Yes,
and now it's the right time.
I feel like we almost got to cut out the awkwardness of transitioning into adulthood too. Because I don't know about you, but like 18 and 19 years old, those were kind of rough years.
Girl, it is. The rough years are amongst me.
Right now or then?
No, like they're amongst me, like. Just general.
Just in general.
I was trying to make a joke, but it didn't hit, I guess.
We're going to cut that part out.
So we're editing that out. But going back to the right person, wrong time, or right time, wrong person, sometimes I encounter that today.
Yeah.
Where, okay, I'm 23 years old. However, I view myself as a very mature 23. I can't tell you how many people I have come across are always surprised how young I am.
Yeah.
And they're just shocked because I'm a very mature person. I have generally my life together.
Right.
Obviously, I'm still figuring things out, as you do in your 20s.
Right.
But I'll meet people and I'm like, oh, they seem really fun. And I'll get to know them, maybe hang out with them some more. And then I'll realize, okay, we're kind of at different stages in our journey. They might be same age as me, 23 or 22, 25, whatever. But either they're way too mature, advanced, maybe they have kids, a house, all these things. I'm like, okay, I'm not quite there yet. But if we can get along otherwise, okay, let's be friends. Or I'll meet people where I think they're not quite as mature. Maybe they just want to go out to clubs every weekend and party, which I am down to do occasionally. But otherwise, I really do love being at my house, hanging out with people in the comfort of my own home. So just that difference can sometimes make it difficult to make friends when you're at different stages of your life.
That is such an actually good point too, because there's no wrong way to do your 20s. I mean, we're all on such different paths, but there's something so true to that is you're trying to find somebody who shares your same interests while we're all doing monumentally different things. Because I know friends who are getting married, who are already divorced, who are pregnant, who have 3 kids already, who are like straight up just in other countries traveling the world. And that's all fantastic and great and should absolutely be done. It does not mean that it's not hard to make friends because everybody's doing such different things all the time.
Yeah.
And honestly, like you said, I don't know, one of my friends for real does have 2 kids and I love seeing her and I love hanging out with her. But do I love hanging out with 2 children all the time? No, it's not really where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'll always make time for her. I'll always go see her. But like, if I want to go bowling today, like, do we want 2 kids under 5 with? That's not really the friend group I'm looking to hang out with right now.
And
you know what I mean?
And your friend with the 2 kids, I'm sure also probably, you just relate different to different people. Because maybe she has friends or they have friends.
Right, absolutely.
Who are also parents. And so it's just different because when they get together, their kids can play together or whatever. You know, it's just different stages of life.
Absolutely.
Sure. Can make it challenging. Are there any other thoughts you have about what challenges or what causes people to struggle with making friends as an adult?
I also feel like the crutch of technology is wildly hindering to the ability to make friendships because it's something that I try to avoid with my life and I fail from time to time still. But it also drives me nuts when I'm trying to talk to somebody and whatever's on their cell phone is so much important than the conversation we're actively trying to have. And it pisses me off. And I'm like, never mind. I don't think I want this friendship, you know? And there goes obviously 20 minutes or whatever, but a friendship that could have been that's just gone because can we not just make eye contact for more than 3 seconds before we pull our phones back out? You know what I mean?
It's kind of a friendship ick of yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it really is a friendship ick. And I don't know, or being out at parties and having it like, I can go sit on my couch in the corner and text my friends. Go make some friends. God, go talk. You're at a party.
Yeah.
Why are you sitting on the couch texting your other friends? Go meet people. Yeah. Why'd you come here?
And it can be, and we'll talk about it too, but it can be stressful. However, like, you have options here. You're presented with an opportunity to go and to do something. And so take baby steps. So
I feel too like there's so many different areas or ways that you could go about it too if you're nervous. And I just feel like, I don't know, I definitely struggle with social anxiety. And like, it's a bit of like, I have to brace myself for this. And there are definitely different ways that can help you handle it, can help you process through it during social anxiety taking over your body. That it really saddens me to see people just feed into it almost and go to that place of like complete self-isolation.
Right.
And to make friends in your 20s, you really have to be proactive in figuring out how to live with social anxiety and still be able to do all the things. Right?
Yeah. And depending too how old you are, your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, depending on how you grew up and the way you continued to live your life, I think of my mom or my grandparents and how mental health and social anxiety and all these other things, it doesn't exist. Or not that it doesn't exist, but we were taught not to value it or not to take care of ourselves when we need to.
Right.
Because I have some clients who maybe they have a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, or they have anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, social anxiety, to be more specific, agoraphobia, whatever it may be. And what I typically do with them to help them get to the point where they can be social and make friends, whether you have a disorder or not, you can do this. And that's through exposure therapy that I use with clients, but people can do this on their own as well. You start small. So if the goal is make a friend by January, right? Or to make a friend in the next 6 months is the goal. Okay. And right now what you're comfortable with is attending a party. Okay. What are the little baby steps in between those two things to help you get to the goal that are not jumping to something that you're uncomfortable with, where you're just going to regress and not make a friend, not reach your goal. Right. So if you're comfortable with going to a party, but not quite comfortable talking to anybody yet, just go. See what happens. Once you get more comfortable with going to a party, maybe you make it a point to talk to one person who seems friendly, and then so on and so forth until you are able to make a friend. And then maybe a step in there is to follow through and follow up with the friend you made at the party. Right. So there are things that people can try on and do it on their own timeline.
I also love like exposure therapy, but in a different, I don't know if it's the same name, but when people challenge themselves in aspects like going out to restaurants alone and like testing that way, I don't know, going shopping alone, going like just being able to go out and do these things by yourself can be so social anxiety filled for some people, that even starting in areas that if you don't want to go to the party and possibly have people be like, oh, that's the guy that just, sits on his phone the whole time that he's here. You could even start by challenging yourself just in normal public outings, like going to a restaurant by yourself without your phone. That is challenging. That is hard. That is one of those places that you feel like everybody's staring at you for being there alone. That's the other issue, is we're all so in our own heads on how much other people think of us that in reality, nobody's thinking of us, because we're all so involved in ourselves, thinking about other people thinking about us. Yeah. If that makes sense. Like, everybody thinks that my green sweater is so dumb, and nobody cares about my green sweater. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've said this to people because, again, this can be tied back to people who have anxiety, who are just general people living in the world. I think that everyone has a baseline of like anxiety, depression. It just ebbs and flows with where you're at in your life. Some days I wake up, maybe something's going on in my life. I'm especially anxious that day. Or maybe, a life event has happened where it's really brought me down. So I'm more depressed for that month or something. It really does depend. Those irrational thoughts is essentially what I hear you talking about. Of,
Yes.
okay, how are other people perceiving me? Am I approachable? All these things.
Right.
People are generally so focused on how they are appearing to other people that other people aren't paying that much attention to them that they think they are, because they're focused on themselves.
It is a challenge too to figure out how to keep those thoughts at bay. Like, that is its own battle too, but it's so important. Other people perceive you the whole time you're out and about. It allows more room for you to go ask somebody about their sweater that you think is so cute, you know? It allows you to, again, be vulnerable, like you've said so many times over.
Yeah. And that is how you make a relationship. You have to be vulnerable. You don't have to walk up to a person like how I did to you and be like, I think I lost a tampon inside of me.
She's not kidding.
I'm not kidding.
I had never seen this girl a day in my life.
Didn't even know my name.
Social anxiety fears grace.
It really does. See, I'm the opposite. I'm on the extreme side of the social anxiety.
Right.
I'm like, let me just full send it.
Honestly, we probably needed that because I have a lot of anxiety. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah,
I actually just recently got up to 100 milligrams or whatever the measuring scale is. Went from 50 to 100, which I'm excited for. I started them to stop feeling depressed, but now, like, honestly, anxiety's kind of taken back over. So I went up to try and tackle both, and I'm really excited. I feel anxious about mostly like death right now, but it definitely kicks my butt out in grocery stores.
Yeah. So absolutely, the irrational thoughts can creep in and make it difficult to make a connection with somebody because of that. Whether it's at a grocery store, you bump into somebody, talking to them, even if they're just an acquaintance, or you're trying to be mindful about making a friend. It can be difficult. And the best way to aid that, the overthinking and those thoughts, is to look at the facts. Okay, is anyone currently actively judging me right now? No.
Most likely no.
Most likely no. At least they're not out loud, right? My goal is to make a friend. Am I going to make a friend by not putting in the effort, by not reaching out? No, you can't make a connection if you're not trying.
Honestly, something that has helped me a ton in my adult life is, and it's kind of weird because it's backwards, but how insignificant I am truly in other people's lives. I do not matter. And that's so true. Like, we're so obsessed with ourselves, and it's natural. Strangers do not care about me, right? I can't live my life so in fear of rejection. In the odd chance, it is odd. In all reality, it's odd that you're going to be rejected. Most people want friends, you know? So you go talk to them. Let's say they do reject you. They most likely aren't going to remember that tomorrow. It's so minuscule for them. I get that it feels big, but truly telling myself that this doesn't matter past this has been so helpful in being able to, like, get past the hump of going over there.
Right.
It almost never goes badly, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to have human connections with each other. Good thing, people want that. Yeah. And so being able to get out of your own head and be like, you know, even if they're like, not looking for friends right now, they're not going to remember that tomorrow. It's going to be so minuscule to them. I get that rejection feels big, but it's really not.
Right.
And it has helped me so much in being courageous. Just knowing that people really don't care about me. I can act however I want. I really, I can go talk to people. Nobody cares.
Yeah, until they get to know you.
Yes.
Right, then they care more. But that is so true. Yeah.
As far as, like, approaching strangers, I mean, that you are, like...
Yes, I do know.
I don't know, even in,
strangers, trying that initial, like, beginning stage of trying to get to know them.
Like, trying to ask for help. In Menards today, I was able to go up. I was trying to find the little remote controls that you can turn on Christmas lights with. So you see how I have two hanging over there now? I found them. I only found them because I was able to go ask the guy right in the middle of the aisle. But, like, that's something that 3 years ago would have been really hard for me. You know what I mean?
Right. And, too, like, whether it's asking someone help find remotes or if it's trying to make a friend and they do reject you, okay, that is your time saved right there. Because trying to make a friend with somebody who truly doesn't care about you is so draining.
That's so beautiful that you said that, because truly, too, all the negative feelings that we get so caught up with can be spun positive. Just like how you just did that. I mean, that is truly. that's a person that's not worth my time then.
Yeah.
And that's as simple as that. Glad that they saved me any more time that I would have spent, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a good point.
Thank you. Sometimes people just need those reminders. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. I was talking to my friend Merritt about this topic that we're going to be talking about today, and she was like, I can't wait to listen to that episode. I am excited to hear it. So this is something that a lot of people struggle with. So if you're out there and you're trying to make a friend, odds are that person that you're trying to make a connection with would also love to have a connection as well.
Yeah, that's just it. I mean, we all get stuck in our own heads so much. Like, if you can be courageous enough to go and make that connection, odds are, truly, it will be reciprocated. Reciprocated.
I had one more thought, too, about the part of how it can be difficult to make new friendships, and also some of the psychology of it is bad experiences or maybe past traumas with friendships. Maybe a friend abandoned you when you needed them, or they betrayed you in some way, left you high and dry. It can be hard to put yourself back out there because you've been burned before.
Right. That's such a part of life, though. We have to keep trying. It's almost a little bit dangerous, I would say, to allow yourself to be fully shut down. It's not a good, healthy way to live life. Even with being burned, as like odd as it is to say, you should always keep trying. No matter what your trying steps look like, even if they're baby steps, if they're strides, it doesn't matter. Giving up and completely isolating is not a good way to go about your life. We need each other. That's been proven, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, and you were talking about earlier too, but people crave connection with other people.
Yes.
So bad experiences or past traumas with friendships, it exists, and take the time you need to process it when it happens.
For sure.
And then also treat it like a lesson.
Yes.
For maybe lack of a better term or phrase. But you can acknowledge, okay, this was the signs that I got from my past relationship where I wasn't treated how I deserved to be in a friendship. If I make a friend and I start to notice those signs, I'm going to bring it up or I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah.
Right? So kind of almost treating it like a lesson.
Right.
Do you have any other thoughts on either the challenges or the psychology of how it can be difficult to make friends?
I feel like I might be speaking a bit inconsiderately because I don't really have any very traumatic things like infidelity that would stunt my ability to be outgoing. But even to those that do have that experience, I really want to just encourage you to keep trying as hard as it is. And I'm sure it's unimaginably difficult. I'm sure somebody like me probably has no grounds talking about trying to move past infidelity, but it is so important to. At the same time, it really is, and it's easy to say, easier said than done. I want to give all the credit to those that are fighting their way through it, but keep going. It will be worth it. There are people that will love you. There are people that are meant to be in your life. There are connections that you're meant to share, and do not limit your life being afraid of making those connections, because when you do find them, they will be beautiful. And it's something that we're all working towards. Making friends is, like, as hard as it is such a cool thing and something that is worth trying for every day, I would say.
Yeah, that was beautiful, Taylah.
Thank you.
It can be really difficult having gone through something bad, traumatic with somebody, and letting that or having it hinder your ability to move on and to get past it. But you are essentially, people are deserving of having those relationships, right?
Absolutely.
You know, typically we get on ourselves. This comes back to the feeling, those overwhelming thoughts and the racing thoughts. We get hard on ourselves and we make ourselves believe that we're not deserving of something, but we really are.
Yes.
And so everything that you just said was great, because that's essentially what people can tell themselves.
Yes.
When they're having those thoughts.
Each person too, like, there's no person on this earth, even if I hate your guts, there's no person that does not deserve good people in their lives. You know what I mean? Everybody deserves it, no matter where you come from, no matter what path you're on.
My thought with that is, you're gonna find what you deserve.
Yes.
You're gonna get what you deserve.
As long as you keep trying.
Yeah.
Too, like, for sure.
If you're a really poor friend, or maybe if you're a person who makes choices, right? Because I do believe that there are people who do bad things. They're not always necessarily bad people.
Right.
However, though, your actions do speak to you as a person as well. So if you're doing things, saying things, being rude, making poor choices, that's going to reflect in the people that you spend your time with. Because people who know their worth typically aren't going to settle for that.
Right.
So if the type of friend you're going to be, that's the type of friend you're going to get.
That's for sure. That might start way further back in altering the bad parts of yourself first, which is a really hard thing to admit and a really hard thing to figure out, but it is possible at the end of the day. You know, putting in action to be a better person first is going to help you in making friendships when you're a good person. People like hanging with good people, and if you're somebody that's very self-centered, or, you know, the world revolves around you and you haven't maintained friendships, maybe the first step needs to be with yourself. You know, maybe the first step needs to be changing the parts of you that are making it hard for people to want to, if you're wanting to, like, honestly change your life, it might just start with yourself.
Absolutely. It goes back to that airplane metaphor. You have to put your own mask on before you can assist others.
Right, yes.
If you personally are not in a good place, it's really hard to be there for other people and to give to others when it's a struggle to give to yourself.
For sure.
So if you need to, you know, take a day, if you're having a bad mental health day, take the day. A good friend is going to understand.
Yes.
If you want to go into therapy and work through some of your own stuff before you give to a friendship on a more serious level, that's going to make you a better friend for it.
Yes. It almost trains you to how to see situations from an unselfish point of view, where you can still validate your feelings, but most likely their feelings are going to be valid too.
Right.
And so the issue is not proving whose feelings are more valid. It's how can we move forward with our valid feelings together, you know? I was raised in a place where being right was the end goal. And I have made my adult life very much into, like, I'm fighting with the people I love so much. This sucks. I want to fix it. Suddenly, being right is not even on the checklist anymore. Like, does not matter because I made the person I care about so much hurt, you know?
Right.
And that, too, helps in keeping friendships when you understand that this is an event that affected both of us, and this is an event that we both have understandable feelings in. We both probably messed up. We both probably were right. All these things can be true. But at the end of the day, if it's you and I want you in my life. I want to figure out this because the bigger picture of having you here matters so much more to me than being right in this argument.
I hear this a lot, especially when working with couples, working with families, or just even an individual who's talking about another friendship that they have, relationship or friendship. And two thoughts and feelings can exist at the same time. Two things can exist at the same time.
Yes.
So say you and I, if we're having an argument or we both experience something and are having different opinions on it, that is fine. That's valid. People are different. People grow up differently. People have different perspectives on things. I can think differently than you can. I can have my feelings and you can have your feelings. And that's exactly what I'm hearing you say is those are valid. And what helps is when you're able to express those two things. Try not to overpower the other person's thoughts or feelings, because that's just going to invalidate the other person.
Yes.
What's important is you make space for both of your feelings and thoughts. Mirror the other person.
Yeah.
If I'm talking about something that's important to me, I'm sharing my thoughts, my feelings. It's not helpful when the other person's like, okay, that's great, but this is how I'm thinking and this is what I'm feeling.
Right.
Mirror back what I'm saying. We're going to make time for both of our thoughts and feelings.
Yes. 100%. I love that. And I love that. Like, that's honestly really a cool part of making friendships in your 20s too. High school friendships can be so superficial and on that very shallow level. And, you know, the first thing something goes wrong, I'm going to go tell the rest of the group about it. It can get so messy and always being so just surface level stuff. I love, it's like almost I can feel the changes in my brain, right?
Yeah.
Suddenly making that person look bad or telling all the other girls about, you know, the high school drama level stuff is like gone. Gonzo.
You think it makes them look bad? It really makes you look bad.
Yes.
When you're
100%.
spreading gossip, rumors, whatever.
And like you can see which girls moving further into our 20s have not been able to let go of that treating other people aspect yet.
It takes a really self-aware person, someone like who's willing to work on themselves and friendships and all these other things that sets you apart.
And even if you're not there yet, you can be. Like it has to be something that you want to develop in yourself. And not everybody has that part of themselves. If you want to be a better person, there are always ways that you can be a better person.
Yeah.
Like
it's never too late.
It's never too late. It's never, and it changes as time goes on. What is expected of you? Like, I don't know, something, and this is kind of off topic, but like with my parents that I struggle with is that like they'll change one thing 3 years ago and they're like, done. I changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but did you really?
Well, it's more so like, okay, but now you've developed this other really bad habit that I'm trying to bring to light that is hurting my feelings. And, you know, you didn't do that 3 years ago, but you're doing it now. Like, you don't change once and then you're forever done changing. You will always be growing and changing.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that brings me to a point where I think it's important to bring up setting boundaries with people and recognizing when the conversation needs to end.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to have a rational conversation with irrational people.
Yes.
Because they're going to invalidate you. They're going to have that mentality of, I just need to have the final point. Yes. I need to be the winner of this conversation. That's when, okay, this needs to end. You're not thinking about this in the right way. It doesn't need to be like that. And to set a boundary, setting a boundary is you doing something. It's not forcing another person to do something. Because people might try and control you, but you can't force somebody to do something. You can only control yourself. So if you're in a friendship with somebody and they're treating you poorly, maybe they're gossiping about you, maybe they're just not putting in the same effort as you, whether they're doing it on purpose or unconsciously. If you try to have that conversation with them and they're just not having it, set a boundary. You say, okay, if you're not ready to have this friendship with me, I'm going to walk away.
Or even like, if you don't want to do it that big of a standpoint, if you can't talk to me in a way that's not just winning, I don't have interest in having this conversation. Because at the end of the day, I don't care about beating you in this conversation. I want you to understand what you did, and I want to understand where I went wrong in your book, you know?
Yeah.
And if we're just going to be coming for each other's throats, I don't see that as productive. I don't find that a conversation worth having with you right now.
Yeah, that's exactly how you set a boundary.
Yeah.
And then you're the one who's saying, okay, this is what's happening. I'm not going to settle for it until you're ready to have this conversation with me or you're ready to do this thing. I'm going to walk away because I know what I deserve and what I'm worth. And I'm not going to sit here talking to somebody when it's not going to be productive.
Well, that's just something, too, that you know is going to end up being a waste of your energy because you're going to, you know, again, you're going to be vulnerable. You're going to share feelings that are hard. You're going to share things that hurt you. And do you want to share those things with somebody that is going to not listen and invalidate them?
Right. Yeah.
No, not really. Not really.
Yeah. That kind of brings us to a nice segue of how you can try and make friends as an adult. We know we've talked about why it's difficult, how mentally, like the mental weight of it, the psychology of it. We even got into setting boundaries with people who maybe aren't a good friend. So what are some ways we can find those friendships that we're looking for wherever we're at? Taylah, is there some things that you have tried, considered trying, or that you've heard of on how to make friends as an adult?
Well, some things that I've tried recently, again, like, I think that free activities are, like, much easier. I found a Facebook group a few months back that was Fargo Friends, and they meet monthly. It's a great resource, but it's definitely for more 30 and up. And so I went to one, and it was, you know, all women talking about their children, or I don't know, felt a little bit out of place there. I really wish that was something that I could figure out how to do to connect with women in their 20s.
Yeah.
I joined a Minnesota, like, girlfriends in their 20s group, and that was on a larger scale, so most of them are from the cities.
Oh.
So that hasn't been
So
that
as far-
successful. As far as things I've tried, and besides the bar, I guess, the bar is
Yeah.
really difficult. I feel like the bar is a really hard place to make friends.
Well, some things that I've recommended to people is, okay, if money isn't really an issue, if you can join a class, a workout class, a cooking class, something, great, do that. And if it makes you feel more comfortable, bring a friend you already have, or bring your partner, your spouse, whoever, to do it with you. So it's a little bit of a comfort as well. Maybe you can both make a friend. Getting to a place to meet someone is one thing. The classes, workshops, maybe you have a class with somebody, or maybe it's a work colleague who you think is really cool. You just have never gotten the opportunity to get outside the workplace type of friendship, right?
Right.
Or maybe it's a friend of another friend that you have who you think is cool and you would like to get to know more
Right.
without your mutual friend. How you do it, find something that you have a common interest in. People love to talk about themselves. If you just give them the opportunity, ask them about themselves. And typically people are good about reciprocating that back. So the reciprocity tends to happen naturally.
Yes.
Because if I'm asking you, oh, tell me about, your family, tell me about your job, tell me about the things that you like to do, your animals, whatever, you could go off about that.
Right.
And if I'm asking and I'm engaging with you, people tend to reciprocate that, to ask me those same things.
Right.
So those are some ways to make friends. And not only classes, but you could look on Facebook groups, right? Maybe there's age-specific ones, so you can find people who are going through those similar stages of life as you, so that you can find friends that way. Bumble has like a Bumble BFF thing. I don't know if you
Really?
knew about that, but I joined Bumble BFF to try and find and make some new friends in Fargo, and I didn't know where to start, so I joined Bumble, and they have this BFF side of it.
Yeah.
And it's essentially like a dating app just for friends, to make friends. And
Interesting.
it is really cool. And I met some girls on there who I really liked, and you can set your preferences on the type of people you're looking to meet, just like how you can if it's a dating app and you're trying to date somebody, like their ages.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, and I met some girls on there that I connected well with. Just no one did a great job at being consistent with the other person and making
Right.
sure that we continued to talk to each other, reach out afterwards. So those never took off. I have been thinking about doing something like that again.
Yeah.
I also have
I would join that with you.
Yeah, you absolutely. If I go to a party and I want to make a friend, or if I join a class, I would bring you, right? Maybe we can
Yeah.
both make a friend.
That'd be really cool. Because that'd be something, too, that, like, we could find a few girls on something like that. We could host, like, a dip party.
Yeah, and
Like,
that too.
now we kind of forced everybody into, like, actually talking beyond social media
Yeah,
apps.
and you have to get your Snapchat or number or whatever if you go to a class, or if you go on,
Yes.
you meet at a coffee shop after meeting on Bumble BFF, because we're gonna have like a party with these people. Can I get your Snapchat and we'll make a group and you guys can come over,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Bring
that'd be
a
so
friend if
cool.
you want. Bring your friend,
Yeah.
and then boom, networking.
We just like we're making this podcast and now we're like actually have plans we're gonna do. We're gonna make friends
We
because of our
have
advice.
plans. We have plans. Yeah. I thought of some other things that are helpful, just reminders. Be genuine and approachable. And
Reciprocative. Like if somebody comes up to you,
yeah,
talk back to them. Like that's a really easy way to do it. And there are people who take the jump first. Might
Yeah.
like if you do struggle with social anxiety, there are other people that might take that jump for you. But then when they come over, be reciprocative to them coming over.
yeah. And there's ways to be genuine and approachable.
Absolutely.
If I'm in the corner of a room and my arms are crossed over my chest or my body, and maybe I have just like a frown face or something, who wants to come and talk to me? No, they're like Grinch over there at the Christmas party.
Right.
No way. Versus if my arms are open, maybe I have a smile on my face, I'm walking around, I'm more approachable that way. The next one, step out of your comfort zone when you can. This goes back to the exposure therapy that I was talking about earlier. You also touched on. Try and step out of your comfort zone. If what's comfortable for you is walking around the mall, like a mundane, natural thing to do it. And then once you're ready, step out your comfort zone a little bit, challenge yourself, try and talk to somebody at the mall, right?
Yeah.
Just give them a compliment. If that's all you're comfortable with, give a compliment.
And people love being complimented.
Exactly.
Too.
Just
and you'll spread kindness unintentionally, like by testing yourself.
Exactly. So just little steps, and then with that, consistency. Consistency is key. Continue to do it. Continue to reach out to people to try and bridge those relationships.
That's just it too, because you'll eventually start to form habits of being able to do these things now. Like you'll see, again, maybe somebody's glasses that you like, and you'll just go say it. It won't be a thing that you're like challenging yourself to do. You'll just say it because you challenged yourself so many times prior.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you have any other thoughts on some ways that people could try and make friends as an adult?
I'd say too, talk to the friends that you do have and maybe try and form a party where you all bring the people that you love a lot, and there, boom, like 20 people that all vibe hopefully together well.
Yeah.
And you could all just talk to each other.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I definitely have friends that you don't know. I feel like you definitely have friends that I don't know. Like we could just host a game night and we could all come over and get to know each other, and then boom, now we have a big friend group. That'd be a really good way to do it too, because then everybody has like a friend crutch. you know? And then you can like, hey, Grace, this is my friend XYZ.
Yeah.
I met her doing this. And then now you guys are talking. And, like,
yeah,
I think that'd be a really kind of an easy out almost.
absolutely.
Like, especially in your 20s.
Especially
Bring the friends that you have to meet the friends that they don't know each other, and make more friends.
Yeah, and ask, even if we had this party, right, and you brought a friend who I don't know that great, a thing outside of my comfort zone would be to ask for their Snapchat.
Yeah.
Because in the past, if you introduce me to your friend, I'm going to talk to them, I'm going to be friendly, I'm going to, treat them like my friend in that moment, but I don't have any way of connecting with them outside of the party where you introduced me to them.
Right.
So
right.
a thing outside of my comfort zone, or just something I haven't tried, is we've made this connection. Can I have your Snapchat, your number? Maybe we can hang out sometime, grab a coffee.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I kind of like this idea too.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Well, do you have any final thoughts about this topic?
I think I got everything out that I wanted to say.
Great. Well, thank you for joining me today. Just in a reminder, we talked about the challenges of making friends as an adult, the mental weight of it, and we also came up with some ideas, solutions on how you can challenge yourself to make friends. But if you like what you heard today, please like, subscribe, leave a review, share the episode. It's the best way to support me and this podcast so that I can keep giving content out to all of you. I also want to hear from you, listener. So if you have a question about life, mental health, or have a story that goes well with today's episode, or just life in general, the mental weight of life, you can share it with me at life.motion. That's life.motion24@gmail.com. I plan to share stories or questions that people have and incorporate them into the episodes. So if you want to do that, you can send it to my email. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening. I'll be releasing an episode every week, so stay tuned to hear more about life in motion. Until next week, embrace the chaos and find the beauty. Thank you. Bye.